Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for taking time up to attend the Citrix Future of Work Tour 2019. Without further ado, please turn your attention to the screen to kickstart today's event. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together to welcome Prem Pavan, Area Vice President of Citrix Asia.
Hi, a very good afternoon to all of you. It is indeed a pleasure to welcome you all to Citrix's Future of Work Singapore edition. My name is Prem Pavan, Area Vice President for Asia. I'm sure you had a lot of things in your schedules. You put that aside and you made time to be over here. Really appreciate that. But I promise you that the next few hours is going to be time well spent, and you're going to have some very good insights and takeaways at the end of this session. What is the future of work in the context of this event? Now, let's just take a step back. Yeah? We at Citrix have curated, basically, our vision of how work will be in the future, all right? This is basically a combination of our experience with technology, our experience, our innovation labs internally, and our very, very strong understanding of the changing styles and models of working today. Put all of these things together, we have our version of how things are going to be driven in terms of work and workspace tomorrow. And so, extending that, the future of work is a platform to be able to convey some of our thoughts, our ideas in the space, but also a platform to encourage you guys to be able to go push the boundaries beyond traditional ways of doing work. Digital transformation, it's the hottest thing that's happening in the marketplace. So many people talk about it. We see that day in and day out. The pace at which digital transformation is happening touches our lives on a regular basis, all right? And we as individuals are different things at different points in times, right? We are a customer at times. We as an individual at other times represent a business dealing with other customers. And at other times, we as an individual are basically an employee of an organization. Now, we as a customer, we've seen digital transformation happening all the time. I mean, just take an example of how you would book a taxi, for example, or how you would order food in a restaurant. Or for that matter, how would you pay the bill for that food that you ordered in the restaurant? How would you share the bill? There's digital, that's just one example, right? There's so much of transformation happening. There's so many forums conferences and seminars where information sharing happens in this particular space. If you look at it from a business standpoint, again, there are lots of forums and technology conferences where businesses get insights into how they can transform digitally their businesses to be able to address their customer needs in a better fashion, to be able to improve their internal processes, and so on and so forth. But the third important aspect of what we are all, an employee in an organization, and this stakeholder, the employee of an organization, and how he can be better engaged by organizations is not something that is spoken too much in the marketplace. There are not enough forums and conferences that really talk about this particular aspect of how employees can be engaged better. And the future of work, this event, the next few hours that you're going to spend time with us, is that element, which is very, very critical. If not the most, the employees are one of the most significant assets of any organization, irrespective of the industry that we are from. You know, we commissioned a survey with The Economist, all right? They have this unit called the Economist Intelligence Unit. And our chat with them, what we really wanted them to do was, how does technology play a role in organizations who seek to better engage with employees within the organization? And they went across industries globally, across multiple countries around the world. In excess of 1,000 business executives were interviewed. And there were two things. It's a great read, by the way, but there were two things that stood out to me. One was that employees, and this is globally, around the world, came back with this feedback that they spend in excess of 25% of their working time in their offices or wherever they are, searching for information that then contributes to what they actually need to do. 25% is a very significant amount of time that they are actually spending to do whatever they have to do. It's about emails, responding to notifications, and so on and so forth, all right? The second thing, and closer to home, that same survey basically told us that here in Singapore, 81% of people in Singapore, when they were asked, how can technology play a better role in your lives, in the way your organization engages with you, they spoke about getting more flexibility, they spoke about being more empowered, they spoke about being more enabled by their organizations rather than their organizations controlling the way they work. These things reflect and represent a massive opportunity for all of us over here in this room to really work together to be able to get closer to that one big asset in our organizations, which is the employee. So what are we going to be having over the next few hours? We're going to have Colin Brookes, our Senior Vice President for Asia Pacific Japan, doing the keynote address, along with Aaron Mowbray, Senior Director for Pre-Sales, Asia Pacific Japan. They're going to be talking about our version, the Citrix version of the future of work. How do you get all these different elements of data, people, content, information, and how does that play with networks, workspaces, and analytics, and so on, all right? So that's going to be an interesting session that's just going to follow after this. And then I'm really, really happy to say that we've got Mr. Vivek Agarwal, who represents the business of Chrome Enterprise for India and ASEAN, who's flown down over here to Singapore from Google. And he's going to be talking to you about how Google and Citrix are going to be working together in the context of the same thing, you know, the future of work. I would also encourage you to attend some of the track sessions that are going to happen, and after that, in the exhibition area, to take a look at everything that we have in place. Nothing is concluded before I can thank the sponsors who have helped and contributed in terms of the work that we're doing over the next few hours. So a big, big, big thanks and big round of applause to all of our sponsors: Google Cloud, AWS, Cisco, Ingram, Net1 Asia, Total Perform, EG, LG, Tech Data, and Samsung, all right? Finally, once again, a big, big, big thanks to all of you over here, our customers and partners who've taken out the time. It is our responsibility to make it worthwhile, but a big thanks to you, and I really sincerely hope that you get some really good takeaways at the end of this session. Good luck, and talk to you soon. Thanks.
Thank you, Prem. Next, we will have two keynote presenters from Citrix. Colin Brookes, Senior Vice President of Citrix Asia Pacific Japan, and Aaron Mowbray, Senior Director of Pre-Sales, Citrix Asia Pacific Japan. First, may I invite Colin Brookes on stage. Please welcome him with a big round of applause.
Thank you, and good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the Citrix Future of Work tour. We call it a tour. We've been to many cities around the world, and as well in APJ. Recently, I was in Sydney, and we had an event down in Australia. We called it See Tomorrow, but it's the same thing. We had over 700 attendees, which was awesome. So it's great to see that the room is also full again here. We've obviously got the right topic that's on everybody's agenda. We want to be talking about the changing workspace, the changing styles of work, and that's, as Prem alluded to earlier, that's on everybody's mind at the moment. We have our employees are very demanding. They want to have access to more devices. They want to be online anywhere from wherever they happen to be at any particular time. They want to be secure, and then they want ease of use. They want an elegant experience. All of these things are additional demands that our employees are looking for. The traditional workspace is no longer a place that we go for the 8 hours a day with our own desk and our own office if we're lucky. It's dynamic, and it needs to be adaptable like we are. Do bear with me as I'm going through these slides, because the animation seems to have adopted a life of its own. So if I start reading the same lines to different slides, just bear with me. I'll catch up with myself. I'll echo the thanks to all of our partners and sponsors that are in the room, and also to our customers, the people that are here with us today. It's the continued success that we want to help you to get to that drives us every single day. So again, thank you for everybody taking your time out in this busy day. So if we just take a little step back. Actually, I've been given strict instructions not to go beyond that point and beyond this point, so keep your eye on me. I do tend to wander. If we just take a step back, the future, as we're looking at today, is coming at us at a tremendous pace, and that pace seems to be accelerating. There are more than half of the world's population are already connected to the internet. But it's not just people, it's devices and things. It's expected that there's going to be 65 billion devices connected by 2025. 65 billion, that's 8 devices for every person on the planet. And all of this technology is creating a huge amounts of additional data. And this abundance of technology is meaning that we're having to rethink the way that we work. The traditional models, the hierarchical models, are no longer going to work in the future. And one of the problems that we're having is also the fact that we need to search for talent. There's a shortage of talent in the workspace, and we're having to adapt and engage with our customers on their terms rather than our own. You've got to love the analysts, haven't you, and the marketeers. Sorry, Sandy, but the shape-shifting fluid enterprise will win. I'm not sure what that means, but basically the organizations that can seamlessly shift their people and their digital resources across workflows are the ones that are going to win. And just hold that thought, if you will, for the next few minutes, and we'll talk about what we mean by that. But so if you can seamlessly shift your resources, your people across the workflow and enable yourself to give the information that your employees need at their fingertips in real time, that enables them to drive outcomes, that's the type of organization that's going to succeed moving forward. And to take advantage of that, it sounds obvious, but we all need to understand that people are integral, and that we need to make our employees as productive as possible and enhance their experience. So what I'm going to do over the next few minutes, you've only got me for about another 15 minutes, is try to paint the picture of the typical frustration that our employees face on a day-to-day basis. And then Aaron's going to get the great task of showing you how we can fix all that for you. So, meet Maria. Maria's awesome. She's a bit of a superstar. Maria is a senior marketing manager, and she's, as I say, she's a superstar. The company that employs her, if they could find another 12, they'd employ all of them. But there aren't another 12. Maria's one of those rare commodities that we're all searching for, which is a talented individual. And they're becoming fewer and far between. It's a common problem. I was lucky enough to having dinner, I think it was last week, with some of the largest software vendors globally, the leaders for the APJ region. And it was nice. There were about 8 or 9 of us, and we weren't actually competing on any level. We were all complementary to each other in the market space, apart from one thing, which was talent. We were all competing to try and find the same people. So this is only getting worse as well, because we all have many generations within our organizations, but the baby boomers, of which I'm one, unfortunately. That's the point where you say, no, Colin, you can't possibly be a baby boomer. You're far too young. No? Seriously? Okay. The baby boomers are starting to retire. I'm not. But they're taking all of their expertise and their knowledge with them. So this shortage is getting worse. It's anticipated, I think McKinsey did this survey, yes they did, that there's going to be a shortage of 95 million medium to high skilled workers by next year. Not in 5 years or a decade, by next year. So it's key that we are able to improve the productivity and the efficiency of the people that we already have and make sure that we keep them engaged. Moving on to being engaged, and back to Maria, if I can. She's actually, although she's a superstar, she's not that engaged. She has a very frustrated and fragmented work experience because of the tools that she's given by her employees to get her work done. And she finds herself not able to get on with her passion, which is marketing, because of the frustrations that she's experiencing on a daily basis. She's told that things are going to be transformed. She keeps hearing these phrases of digital transformation, but it seems to be taking an age. So what I'm going to do is give you an example of what happens to Maria when she gets to the office. Every day she's full of enthusiasm, and she's got all these great ideas to create these wonderful new marketing programs, but then instantly she gets distracted. And I'm hoping this is something that you can all relate to. I certainly can. I have a video here that's going to take just about 1 minute. And with this wonderful clicker, I'm going to try and keep up with the script, so you'll see the arrow flying across the screen as I'm talking about what she's doing in a day. And we're speeding it up so that I can show you get through the story and then tell you how we can hopefully help with her frustrations. So, here we go. So Maria comes in, and the first thing she wants to do is to book some leave for later in the week. Fairly straightforward, so she goes into the application, and she books a leave and does that. She notices in an email that she's being chased by one of her employees to check on some expenses and get those approved, please. So she has to go into the application. She digs down 4 or 5 layers to check out whether they're the right size, it's the right policy, and if everything matches. And she finds the approve button and she signs them off. She notices in her diary that, come on, keep up, Maria. Yeah, she notices in her diary that she's got a meeting coming up, but her soft phone's not working. So she has to go into another application to raise an IT ticket to get help with that. She then goes back to her diary and realizes that she's missed an email from her boss who's asking about a huge deal that was supposed to have closed over the weekend. So she comes out of email and goes into another system, the CRM system, to try and find out what's happened on the deal. She finds that the deal's been closed, and she finally gets back to, Maria's ahead of me now, she gets back to her email and informs her boss of what's happened. So we speeded that up, and we've done it on purpose so that I can tell you the story. That's a 10-minute journey, and she's not got anywhere near what she's been employed for, which is creating marketing programs. And this is just typical of what happens, I'm sure, to all of us during the day. We're distracted to do other things, and we're having to go into lots of different applications in order to just get somewhere near to the start of our day. I'm sure everyone agrees that Maria or any of us are not employed to sign off expenses. We're not employed to do IT tickets to get things fixed. But these are the things that tend to distract us on a daily basis. She's not alone, Maria. Gallup have done a poll and 85% apparently, 85% of the workforce is disengaged. I know that sounds a really huge number, but it's 85% throughout the day are disengaged from what we're wanting them to do. So just think about that. That means that only 15% of the workforce are actually trying to help us deliver the goals that we set for our business. Now, as Prem mentioned earlier, our employees are our most expensive asset, and by default, they're our most valuable asset. But if our most valuable asset is performing at 15% capacity, we're suggesting that it needs some urgent attention. One area that seems to have solved this problem, or certainly on the way to solving it, is the consumer space. If we go back to Maria, we'll use Maria as the common theme. If she's now on the 2 days off that she's having, checking in for her flight, we've all got these applications on the phone. On the phone, I fly literally every week. And it's a very simple, elegant experience to go onto the app, choose your seat, and click through and get yourself logged in and even find your boarding pass. It sort of guides you through the process. And that's what Aaron will be showing you later in the solutions that we're bringing to the market. We're now going to be guided through a workflow process rather than have to go down lots and lots of different layers. I think we'd probably all agree that the process of checking in on our flight is a lot easier than the process of when you get back to the office, filling in your expense claim and trying to get refunded for it. And then when we go back to the office, in comparison to the consumer experience that we have, we tend to find that the technology we have at home is often far more advanced than the technology we are given at work. Sometimes it's like going back in time. We might have an internet page with links to different applications we need to get to, or we might have a page that's full of applications that we need to dig down through. And even when we do get to those, when we get to those applications, they're all different experiences for us and different performance levels. They might be old AS400 applications, they might be built on Windows, they might be in-house things, they might be a brand new SaaS service, but they're all different looks and feels and definitely different performance levels, and a lot of them will have different authentication as well. And it's a drain, it's a mental drain on us to have to try and remember all of these things, and that's where the gap is. We have a productivity gap, an experience gap, and the engagement gap, which is what drives the disengagement numbers that we talked about earlier. So in a nutshell, and we have looked into this extensively, which is why we've come to the market with the solutions that Aaron will talk to you about shortly. You can see the screen. Employees just don't have the access to the tools and the information that they need to do their best job. They have access to information, but it's not letting them do their best possible work. I'll give you one other example that works for me, actually. You've all walked into the photocopy room and been met by this fantastic piece of equipment with 150 buttons on it. And I'm sure most people, if you're like me, don't know how to use most of them. Think of this as an application, and I'm just using it to paint the picture. But applications per se, we're not saying at Citrix that there's a problem with the applications. We're just saying, well, a lot of them are great, and the applications that we're going to show you shortly, we use ourselves within Citrix. But they're built for the super user. Using this as the analogy, the Xerox photocopier needs to compete with the Canon photocopier, needs to compete with the Minolta photocopier, if Minolta still exists. And so they've all got these features and functionality in order to be competitive in the market space, but they're typically for the 1% user, the super user. Personally, when I want to go and get a photocopy, I'm so glad that the photocopier companies have designed a big green button for me, because that's all I need to use. And if I'm feeling like a super user any day and I want 2 copies, I press that big green button again, because it worked the first time, so it's probably going to work the second time. And that's me done. As a different example, on the expenses that Maria signed off earlier, we have the same app, the Concur app. We also have Workday. We've used SuccessFactors. They're all wonderful applications if you use them a lot and you're used to them. So I'll give you another example with me, and hopefully it resonates. Whenever I need to go and do something in Workday, I get this email that points me to the application. Up comes the application, and I don't use it that often. It's probably once every couple of weeks. And then I dig down wherever I'm supposed to go, and I'm determined every time that I'm going to fix it this time and I'm going to make this thing happen. And generally after about the 12th or the 13th minute, I stop, And I get up and I walk about 30 or 40 meters around the corner to Sulin, who's our HR director, if I'm in the office. And I say, Sulin, can I just borrow you? I'm sorry. She follows me back. She comes to the screen. She goes, bing, 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 and it's done because she's a super user. But I've just wasted 12 minutes of my life. I've also wasted Sulin's time. I've disrupted her. So she goes and makes a cup of coffee on the way back because she's near the canteen now. Then she starts chatting to somebody else, so she disrupted somebody else. And this is all because I'm frustrated because I can't use an application. So I'm exaggerating something, but this is the disengagement that we have on a daily basis. So the result of everything that we're trying to say, the picture that I'm trying to create, is that we have too many applications. All of this great technology is supposed to replace, but it doesn't replace, it builds on top of and adds to the complexity. It's estimated that 95% of all of the on-premise applications that we use today will still be around in 5 years' time. That's on top of all of the great new cloud applications that are coming and all of the applications that we haven't even thought about yet. There's just too many applications. And we use them far too little in order to be experts at them, which is why we get frustrated, or certainly why I get frustrated. And we do too much switching. We're going from one thing to another. We're constantly interrupted. And any 2-minute interruption, the work studies have shown that it can take 20 minutes for you to get back to what it was that you were working on first of all. Emails, notifications, tweets, all of these things are coming at us, bombarding us, phone calls all day. And because we have to keep going to different applications and go down several layers in the applications, we are disengaged. So, obviously, we believe that there is a better way, and we're going to show you for the rest of the afternoon what we think that is. I'm going to move on to Aaron shortly, who's going to try and repair the picture that I've painted for you. But where we got the inspiration from was the consumer industry, as we mentioned earlier, where things are fed to you. You get notifications. You have a simple click to finish whatever it is you want to do. We found how to give you the big green button or the big red button, whichever one it is that you're looking for, without having to be a super user, without having to go all the way through the different layers to get to where you need to be. And this is all going to be powered by recommendations from machine learning. We're trying to enhance, and we believe that we can, the employee experience to be like a consumer experience, and we believe that we can give people back an extra day a week. I know that's a bold claim, but we'll hopefully back that up for the rest of throughout the rest of the afternoon. So we're trying to make everybody be like Maria with a smiley, happy face and be content at work and have an elegant experience so that she can get on and be productive and be employed for what she and deliver what she's been employed for, which is to be a knowledge worker and not to be a repetitive task worker. So at that point, I would like to invite my colleague Aaron Mowbray up onto the stage. He's the Senior Director for Pre-Sales for APJ, and he's now going to do the wonderful task of explaining how we do all of this from a technical perspective. So Aaron, hope you come. Round of applause for Aaron. Thank you. There you go, sir. Good job.
No pressure. I just have to show you how we go from where we are today and into the future. So at Citrix, we actually look at the environment with really 3 different lenses. We look at the environment with the workspace, as Colin has been discussing. We look at it with the network, which has to run underneath all of what we do. And then we also look at it with a lens of analytics, the actual ability to analyze and learn from what a user is experiencing. Experience, security, and choice are what we feel are the 3 major pillars that are pushing and pulling everything we do in the world of technology as we work to provide for our users. Now, one of the interesting things about these 3 pillars is that if you think about them traditionally, they've kind of been mutually exclusive, right? If I wanted to have a really secure environment, I would take away all the choices, and the experience would be not very friendly, But at Citrix, we see the future as somewhere where all three of these can coexist. So I'm going to use these three themes, and you'll see these three themes on the show floor. You'll see them in the tracks that we've designed for your deeper learning after this keynote session. We're going to keep these themes going, and I want to start out with experience. Because indeed, if there's a delightful experience for the user, they're much more apt to be engaged. And if we can have a delightful experience that is also secure and provides flexibility or choice, then we know we're going to have an amazing work experience. So let's talk about the journey a little bit deeper. So at Citrix, we've been working on the idea of a user experience since we started. It was 30 years ago. Citrix started out as delivering that really hard app, that thing that was just impossible to get to work right, to users in the most impossible locations with the most demanding jobs. So we would deliver a detailed CAM/CAD diagram with all of the parts blowouts to an oil rig in the middle of the Indian Ocean. Common Citrix use case. But that was just organizing work. That was delivering work into an organized structure. What we want to do, and what we indeed have made acquisitions to do, is to pull together everything into that one workspace, but then to actually start to look at, with analytics, what you're doing in that workspace, and start to provide a guide to Maria. So Colin showed Maria, and she has a lot going on, but she has to literally figure out what to do next. She has to sit there and try to sort through all of these activities. Wouldn't it be much better if, like Facebook, we kind of said, Maria, here's your workspace, and here are the things that are happening for you. And then even better than that, we've noticed that you continue to like videos of kittens, so we're going to show you more videos of kittens. You must literally like kittens, so here's some more kittens. So at work, we're going to say, you know, we see that you are tracking a certain Salesforce opportunity. Let me actually show you the status of that opportunity right in your workflow, rather than you having to leave your workflow and journey into your CRM. So that's actually automating work. Actually organizing it, yes, guiding it, of course, but then actually going one step further to automate it. So what we're introducing is the Citrix Workspace. And the Citrix Workspace with intelligence. So we're looking underneath what's happening. We're setting priorities that you can guide as an organization. And we're also setting a behavior, a personalized workspace that learns what Maria wants to do and provides her the quickest access so that she, as Colin said, can be productive and do her best work. So let's actually see what that screen looks like. So this is Maria again. And here we actually see this flow right down the center. This is where the intelligence comes in. We're going to actually watch Maria have the same morning that Colin had described. But this time, we're going to watch what that morning looks like with Citrix Intelligent Workspace. So there's the expense reports. She simply clicks on that tile. It reveals the detailed data of the expense report, and she can click Approve. The opportunity that she was tracking is right there. Everyone also on her team has the Intelligent Workspace, so she doesn't have to tell her boss it closed. He saw it. The event reminder does still think, oh, I got to fix my soft phone, but now it's one-click task in the upper corner. She clicks Submit Ticket to ServiceNow, fills out the basic information, clicks Close, and then remembers, oh, that's right, I had that PTO I need to request. She clicks another simple task, fills out the basic information for her PTO request, and clicks Submit. That video we did not speed up. That was the same 10 minutes, except this time it took less than 2. And I don't know about you, but even with single sign-on that she had on the other example, that was a crazy day. That's a lot of windows and priorities and things flying around. Also notice the first thing that showed up in this sorted relevance list was an expense report. Why? Why would that be first? Well, because in business, an expense report can cost us money. Right? Expense reports are cash flow. We don't want them sitting out there. If they sit out there long enough, then they actually cost us more money. So we actually say, this is an important business process. It needs to be on top. User comes in and sets their own priority. The first thing they did was ask for PTO. But we're here to say the business actually thinks a little bit of a higher priority. So how will this system work? Okay. It is that collaborated, organized, automated guide to work, a single platform, but for it to be valuable, it has to work with SaaS applications, it has to work with in-house built applications, it has to work with on-prem applications, and indeed, Citrix knows applications. That's what we've been doing, right, for almost 30 years. And we know the most difficult applications and how to deliver them. But this now works for all of the users in your organization. It isn't just about virtual apps or virtual desktops, although those are certainly still there. It's now all of these applications and how these applications can be seamlessly brought into every user's experience. How do you build these connectors? Well, it's a system that we're going to release before the end of the year as well, where it is a simple micro app builder. You actually get to decide through an easy graphic interface what is going to show up when you click on a tile. Maybe for PTO, your company doesn't say, you just need to tell me when it starts and stops. You need to actually manually put in an additional approval field. Or maybe there's a drop down that you have to select if it's a national day or some other holiday that you need to request. So you get to decide that process. So only from Citrix, thinking about experience, do we have that intelligent automation that is people-focused and designed to work with all of the best SaaS and on-premise applications. But it doesn't mean anything to us if we have to give up the keys to the kingdom to get this type of wonderful experience. But like I said, we are thinking about all three pillars as we design these solutions. So security is integral into the entire system that we design. And not just security that denies people something, not just security that requires that you design complex user profiles that tell everything they can and can't do via blacklists, whitelists. No, we want contextual security. Contextual security that looks at what you're accessing with, who you are, of course. How are you accessing? Are you remote? Are you local? Are you on a borrowed machine? And why are you accessing it? Now, that's a really interesting one, because that actually needs to take into account not only the first three, but also behavioral analytics. So we watch, is that a typical process that Maria does? Maria's in our marketing department. If Maria suddenly logs in from Uzbekistan, and starts downloading a bunch of financial documents, that's probably not Maria. So we probably don't want to let that happen. What can we control? Well, almost anything in the environment. Of course, we can actually just remove applications. We can stop file uploads and downloads. But we can even go in and say, I'm not going to allow you to copy and paste. I'm not going to allow you to print. I'm going to filter the URLs, or even better, I'll let you get to that URL, but only via a browser which is temporary and fully secured. So you can't just jump out in Chrome, as she was using to log into almost everything, and have it store all of your credentials. Not a very good secure play. We're going to manage that with enterprise scrutiny, but give that workspace experience. Lots of people can claim to do this with extensions on browsers and pieces on networks. We want to do it everywhere. And we've recently introduced an access control service which will now actually help manage even on-prem applications in a hybrid manner. So we can even control those things that I was just discussing between local applications. So maybe your local security policy says, if you're inside of this secure network and you're using these applications, I don't allow you to copy and paste out of that application, because that's customer data. And I won't allow you to take customer data out of a system and paste it into an email, because it's a compromise. One where our company doesn't want Maria to be able to do. So we can control that as well. Even the device itself has vulnerabilities, right? There could be keyloggers. There could be screen captures happening, right? Maybe I don't let you copy and paste, but that's okay. I'm gonna, use the snipping tool and just drag over all of that information and then email it to someone. The session later today, if you're interested in this level of security, it's called the Armored Client. And we actually have the ability to stop keyloggers. Keyloggers get garbage instead of your keys. And screen captures get a gray background, that's all. So we continue to push the envelope, always thinking about the intelligence and watching and advising. One of the super exciting announcements is that we've now brought the data lake and the concept of user data gathering, even though it's metadata and it doesn't contain any personal information, but we now brought this here to Asia. So it used to be that we used an analytic service that was actually in the States. Now we actually can do that service right here in Asia. So our data does not leave our portion of the world. So only from Citrix can you get the balance of user experience and security that's based on who, what, where, and how you're accessing, not just lists, actual intelligence. That workspace experience, if everything goes through that experience, then you have the maximum visibility and the maximum control, which leads us to our next point. Well, what about choice? Well, it turns out, because of the way we design the workspace as an actual service, anywhere that you can attach to the internet, and as Colin pointed out, that's a lot of places, that's half the world. You actually have the choice to use the workspace from any device, anywhere, anytime. One of our most exciting partnerships that we have, and this is a great lead-in to our next speaker as well, is the partnership between us and Google. We actually introduced lots and lots of new features using GCP on the back end and enabling Chrome clients on the front end. So we can even take your Google identity and use that to authenticate into the workspace. We give you the choice not only of any cloud, we also give you the choice of any hypervisor. So your choices abound at Citrix. But it's not always going to be cloud, right? The truth of the matter for all of us is it's really going to be hybrid for a very long time. Colin pointed out a statistic that, over 90%, 95% of the applications that are in use today in this sort of traditional mode are still going to be here tomorrow. But we also need all of the applications that are out there, all the applications that are on the internet, that we're accessing from other data centers, that we're accessing from service providers, that indeed are applications themselves. And we have a presence at every one of those stops on the internet, both inside the company with ADC, branch to branch with SD-WAN, and even virtual services available, as you just saw at Google. You can actually rent a Citrix ADC to front-end the environment at Google. With this level of expansion and additional cloud providers getting on board, what we really need, though, is we need a way as IT professionals to actually see all of this stuff. What good does it do me if, I have all these pieces, but they're all running around by themselves somewhere? I need one way to look at them. And in our breakout sessions, you'll hear about Citrix ADM and how Citrix ADM actually gives you the security visibility and profile of everything that's happening to accelerate that hybrid cloud journey. Any device, any cloud, licensed, pooled, and flexible approach, all driven by machine learning and analytics. Every one of those orange dots is a place where we learn about the environment. Every one of those orange dots is a point where we can control the environment. Every one of those orange dots is an intersection for security and your position. So we have been around for a really long time working with Microsoft. So I think I'm hitting the, I'm hitting the laser, not the actual advancer. So Citrix and Microsoft, long history, right? I think most of us in the room, if you've ever used Citrix, it's always been about a Microsoft desktop or Microsoft-based application, Windows-based applications that you virtualized. We now do a lot with Linux, and that brings us then to doing a lot with our next ecosystem partner, who's Google. And it turns out we do a ton, actually, with Google and Google's application platforms. Not just using GCP, not just enabling your Chrome device, but seamlessly integrating into that workspace all of the Google controls, all of the Google persona management, all of the Google collaboration tools. So all of that comes together. But you know what? Remember, it's a hybrid world. Can I do both? Absolutely. As a matter of fact, we say don't just stop with Google and Microsoft. That's really probably a large chunk of it. But what about these guys? What about everybody that shows up in the office and says, here's my MacBook. I want to use that at work because I'm a Mac guy. What about these guys? More and more devices coming out from Samsung, one of our great sponsors here today. I can actually access my workspace from my smart hub on my Samsung TV. Not a problem. The only problem is that my wife has to watch me on my workspace, which is not her favorite activity. She'd rather watch Netflix. But don't even stop there. What about all these great service providers? What about all these cloud things, all these things that the line of business has dragged into our IT office and said, by the way, we just signed a contract with ServiceNow. We just signed a contract with SuccessFactors. We just signed a contract with, how am I supposed to make all of that work? Citrix is the glue. Citrix is the glue. The workspace is the experience. Citrix is the glue. We don't even stop with these choices, though. All of the people you see up there are out of the box, ready to integrate with the Citrix Workspace with intelligence. They all have connectors. They're all really a few clicks away from being seamlessly joined for your user's experience. That's choice. And that's what only Citrix brings. We bring that single architecture with out-of-the-box connectivity and a humongous ecosystem. We are not here to tell you you have to throw away your current investments. That doesn't make sense. We're not here to tell you you have to move everything to our specialized cloud. That doesn't make sense. Citrix is the glue. We pull it all together in a delightful experience for the user, building on the 3 pillars of workspace, networking, and analytics, and delivering uncompromising experience, security, and choice. So please enjoy our next presenter, one of our good partners at Google, and enjoy the sessions as they break out into those 3 columns and those 3 pillars. I think you'll see with the power of Citrix, all 3 are possible. All 3 come together in the future of work. Thank you.
Thank you, Colin and Aaron. Next, let us invite on stage Vivek Agarwal, Head of Chrome Enterprise India and ASEAN for Google. Please give him a big hand. Vivek, please.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Colin. Thank you, Aaron. I think you set the context in the stage very well. And we spoke about the future of work. No pressure. My name is Vivek. It's difficult to pronounce Agarwal. It's Agarwal, but just call me Vivek. I lead the Chrome Enterprise go-to-market for India and Southeast Asia at Google. We're all talking about the future of work today, right? And the future of work is largely around workplace transformation and how we rethink our technology landscape for workplace transformation in the age of the cloud worker. We hear about frontline workers, task workers, knowledge workers, but what we truly believe that we're evolving into is cloud workers, workers who are largely working with cloud-based technologies across the ecosystem. The key challenges for enterprises today is to boost productivity and enhance the security posture so that the end users, the employees, get the right level of employee experience, and they can help enhance the customer satisfaction. And I will talk about some of those tenets today. Aaron spoke about a lot of them already, but I think we'll just cover more details. The biggest challenge today is, I think, complexity. Complexity of transformation from where we are into where we want to be. Simply keeping the lights on is not enough for the enterprise today. We have challenges to manage shadow IT that's actually available, and it's known by all of us. We're under threats with various different vectors, ranging from security, protection, employee satisfaction, hiring the right talent. There are more and more millennials coming into the ecosystem who have a different consumer experience, who have a different experience with technology, and they expect the same experience that they see from an enterprise standpoint as well. Today, we have to transform the organization largely to ensure 3 key tenets: employee experience, customer satisfaction, and security across all these 3. It's about digitization of the business processes that we have today. It's about transformation from managing cost to driving efficiency within the enterprise. It's about balancing security and also taking care of application modernization. As we saw in the previous presentation, Workday, Concur, G Suite, everything is getting modernized into a different segment altogether. And we want to ensure that all that experience sticks to enterprises and employees today with customer satisfaction, enhanced employee experience, better security, And like Aaron said, anytime, anywhere, any device, the mobility has become a core pillar for us when we think about all these things. It's fair to say that the IT landscape is getting more and more complex today, all the way from the network level. Gone are the days where we would have network restricted to our enterprise within the premises, within our firewalls and proxies, to giving access to enterprise applications even outside. And that's where the boundaries of network security have completely been dismantled today. There's increasingly awareness and need from employees. We're getting more and more mobile workforces. We're getting more and more users to use their devices anytime outside the network, and also getting a view of the application landscape, which can be accessed at any point in time on your devices as well. Security is one of the biggest concerns that's growing in the landscape, largely because your boundaries and firewalls have expanded, but also the plethora of devices that are being used today with IoT and BYOD and the range of devices that we have. There are more and more vectors which can actually penetrate the organization, and security becomes the key construct. If you look at the IT jobs, about 5, 7, 10 years ago, we used to have IT generalists, an IT manager who manages IT. And today, that has transformed into a different ecosystem where we need more and more specialists, the cloud specialist, the security specialist, and IT architecture specialist. And that is just a testament and proof of how complex it is getting to manage the IT infrastructure, because the more and more specialists are required for specific segments today. And with this, what is happening is enterprises are being held back from an innovation standpoint, because I, being a security specialist, focus on security. And again, from an enterprise perspective, I need to ensure that I can give the right landscape. I'm not here to tell you to solve all the problems, all the complexity that is there. That will be a bit too bold from my perspective, I think. But what I can talk about is how we transform our experience. How do we get into the journey of transformation and get workplace transformation for our employees? If you look at the traditional endpoints that you've been using or we've been using, the way we've been doing things, it has remained static for 15, 20 years now. While there have been new releases and versions, but the construct of the platform has been consistent and the same from what it was 20 years ago. One of my friends says it's same, but different, right? With this sameness, complexity is just going up, because now you're actually relying on layers and layers to make this existing platform usable in your enterprise and to ensure that your existing processes do not change, which is really cumbersome for IT just to maintain a 15-year, 20-year-old platform. We think it's time to change. We think it's time to change the real computer. As you can read, the definition of a real computer needs to change, since everything around us has changed a lot. We've been working on this for the last 10 years. I think change is not something for tomorrow. It can actually happen now. We have enhanced the end-user computing environment and evolved it with significant innovation. We have built in the new platform called Chrome OS. We've been working on the Chrome OS for the last 10 years. And it's actually available today to transform your end-user experience, employee experience as well. It is tomorrow's OS, which can be used today. It's a complete reshift and rethink of the way technology has been there for the last 15, 20 years. The key perspective here is to ensure that the employees have the right experience. If you look at what a cloud worker is today, what is a cloud worker, right? Sorry, my bad. Today, the cloud worker is all of us. Our studies show us that we spent nearly 5 hours in a day on the browser, on the Chrome browser, a managed secure browser. We are spending all of that time just working on cloud-based technologies. The generation of the workforce that's entering is using the same technologies, be it mobile applications or be it SaaS-based applications, and even access to legacy line of business applications, but via various technologies that we have today. We truly believe that the end users can be met with combined technologies of Citrix Workspace, Google Cloud, G Suite, and Chrome Enterprise to ensure that they get a seamless experience, they have the right employee satisfaction, and we can meet the users where they are. Rather than them coming to us, we meet them where they are in their journey today. We spoke about consumerization a lot, and I refer to this as consumerization of IT. When you talk about cloud workers, and there's an ongoing debate of are we cloud workers? Are we really on the cloud? If you just think about how much time we spend in our personal lives, I'm sure many of you would have taken Grab in this week just to commute from one place to the other, or used Google Maps or Waze just to check what is the distance, what is the traffic to a specific location. Use Spotify or Netflix for entertainment purposes, or even used Gmail for your personal communication as well. In reality, we are already cloud workers in our personal lives. And as we transform and move to enterprises, the expectation from IT, the expectation from enterprises is becoming more and more the same. We expect the same level of responsiveness, the same level of commitment. I like Aaron's slide, the 99%, we expect the same green button everywhere, just to click and get the job done, rather than wait endlessly for a process to take place or for an event to happen. The ease of using similar kind of technology or powerful technology at work gives back us productive time, increases end user productivity, and provides a better experience for end users as well. We've seen this happen consistently. If you look at the advent of SaaS apps, way back in 2015, 23% of the enterprises had actually adopted SaaS-based applications. In a span of 3 years, this more than doubled. Just last year alone, we saw about 57% of companies migrated their existing infrastructure from what they've been using to SaaS-based applications. And based on the current industry estimates, by 2020, just next year, more than 80% of the enterprise landscape will be built on SaaS applications. But why SaaS? Why are we moving to SaaS? One of the key constructs is configuration versus customization. The aspect of moving to a SaaS application is now I can just configure my application to the need of the user based on his role, based on his designation, based on his geography, based on his availability. There's an accelerated feature delivery. You can deliver features faster on a SaaS-based application and make it available across the landscape of employees. You can get APIs to enable mashups and build analytics and repositories and data around how they are being consumed today. And you can actually create a culture of collaboration and social with the consumerization approach with SaaS applications as well. The modern browser is the key interface to SaaS applications. Like I said, 4.6 hours per day in a web browser, that's about 60% of the time you spend within the browser itself. Think about the computers you were using like years ago. Like a few years ago, I was using a laptop which had all my data and applications and software on that. If you would lose that computer or device or laptop or desktop, your work would stop. You could not do anything beyond that. But with today, you can seamlessly switch from a device to another device. You can move between devices and still continue to do your work. Your employee credentials, the customizations built out for you, the single sign-on, your applications seamlessly move with you from device to another device. Today, more than 67% of the workers rely heavily on web browsers. And that gives the context of being able to move between applications and move between devices. Based on the survey that we did recently, 90% of the workers responded stating that it's much easier to work on a SaaS-based application than to work on a desktop application or to work on existing native applications. 1 out of 4 workers, and this is as per Forrester, are already cloud workers today. 1/4 of our workforce is completely on the cloud and are not the information workers of the past, not the knowledge workers or task workers. They are purely cloud workers because they are doing all their work on the cloud essentially. They need flexibility to work. They need to work when they please and where they please and on the device they please to work. They need familiar tools that can help drive efficiency, be able to use those tools seamlessly within their enterprise. And they need a set of devices, a right set of tools that have the right level of flexibility and security and being able to use that device seamlessly. The legacy endpoints that we've been using are not really built to support security. There's a high level of intervention required by IT professionals to make that device usable in an enterprise context. They are not built to protect against malicious parties or common threat vectors. They are not built to synchronize customizations across. We need to spend significant amount of effort and cost just to make those devices secure, syncable, usable. There's a high element of cost and maintenance of those devices, being able to manage and maintain those devices, provisioning them, providing support on them, and ongoing upgrades across various elements, be it the OS upgrade, virus definitions, patches, and it's a vicious cycle. We call this the IT cycle of device management, where the device has to be constantly updated. It's not a one-time activity, it's an ongoing activity. And there's high amount of cost associated with all these activities that we do. In our opinion, IT security professionals should not be worried about what are the patch levels in my enterprise. Should I really care? What are the OS levels in my enterprise? Should I really care? A lot of these things, and as we move into a mobile world and in a more connected world, are becoming out of the box available. The overall priorities for IT over the next 12 months, and that's something that we've been seeing consistently, is reduce cost, improve endpoint security, and invest in technologies that can support productivity. Introducing Chrome Enterprise. What is Chrome Enterprise? Chrome Enterprise essentially is the Chrome OS, the Chrome browser, and the Chromebook all bundled as a solution. A device that is secure by design. It takes care of threat protection using our artificial intelligence technologies. There are much more granular controls and ever-evolving threat defense mechanisms that we've built into the device itself. The device can be managed with granular controls. There are 200+ policies just to manage the device via the cloud. It can all be managed centrally from a central fleet. There is no need for added software or security to be enabled on these devices. The device does not need an antivirus. It's got inbuilt virus protection on the device itself, and it takes care of protection at the device itself. The employee productivity is much more enhanced because you can get access to your enterprise applications across the enterprise landscape on the device, be it your SaaS applications, your line of business applications, or even applications that are mobile enabled on the same device. The workplace efficiency improves from an employee perspective because these are much faster devices. They boot up in less than 6 seconds. They do not have downtime or IT downtime for upgrades and installations and patches. This is the only endpoint device today that comes with 2 footprints of the OS on the device. For your cloud workers, Chrome Enterprise provides enterprise applications via the browser, via the Google Play Store, or via Citrix Workspace to get your line of business applications as well. It helps you manage efficiency by reducing downtime from an IT user standpoint, from an employee standpoint. And we have a range of devices from various OEMs across the globe. There's premium hardware, clamshell, detachables, tablets, flip, all kinds of models available today. I'll delve deeper into each of these aspects. Comprehensive security is one of the key elements. At a device level, what we've done is every Chrome device comes with Google TPM at a device level, which ensures hardware-based encryption and a per-user encryption as well. You can have a multi-user on the device, and the device provides security and encryption on a per-user basis based on the hardware keys and the user construct as well. We've introduced concepts like verified boot, which at the time of boot up validates the signature of the OS itself to ensure that there is no malware or no infection at the OS level at all. We provide sandboxing, concepts like safe browsing. Every tab, every application, every solution on the device is completely sandboxed, not to infiltrate each other at all. We've got AI-driven threat protection driven by Google Play Protect and safe browsing, and I'll talk a little more about that. And we've introduced the concepts of regular automatic updates. The Chrome OS, in line with the Chrome browser, has a 6-week update cycle, and the OS updates automatically without any downtime for the end user at all. The multi-layered security ranges all the way from the hardware till the application. At a hardware level, we've built in the hardware Google TPM, the hardware security module, which actually ensures that we get on-device protection using hardware-based keys. The firmware is designed by Google. We work with the leading OEMs to design the firmware of the device and introduce the concept for verified boot to ensure that at the time of boot up, at the time of shutdown, the device is completely secure. We have 2 footprints of the OS on the device, which ensures that the device is completely secure, has an active standby, a hot standby kind of an operating system environment for automatic updates, for regular updates, and also for ensuring that there is no security flaw at the device level. From a browser perspective, we provide site isolation, we provide sandboxing for each of the tabs and browser sessions, and also provide safe browsing experience to ensure that, which is a constantly evolving mechanism that we built into the Chrome browser to ensure that you're protected against any threat proactively by the browser itself. And from an application perspective, be it malware detection, be it play protect, or be it helping you to prevent any kind of breach of the device, each application is secured as well. The AI-driven threat protection at a device level prevents you to do any costly mistakes. And this is largely driven by two constructs. One is safe browsing. And we've introduced the concept of safe browsing on the browser itself to ensure that using our AI techniques at the server level, we can prevent you from any kind of phishing attacks, give you warnings, ensure that you're browsing to a secure site. With Google Play Protect, we can enable Android applications on the Chromebook, but we can also scan all those applications on an ongoing basis. We do billions of scans per day to ensure that all the applications are protected and secured on the device. And this is a front end of Google Play, which is completely customizable or configured based on the enterprise requirements, like an enterprise app store as well. The updates, like I mentioned, for the OS is every 6 weeks. Every 6 weeks, we have a major update of the OS. There is no more a downtime for the device to get updated. It gets updated automatically in the backend. The updates happen seamlessly because we have a standby operating system architecture. There are two footprints of the OS. While one is running active, the standby updates automatically in the backend. Gone are the days when you have to wait from 0% for the timer to tick to 100% or the sliding bar to get to 100% to really update the OS. You're just completely off that now. And in case of any vulnerability, we have security patches coming out every 2 to 3 weeks, which again update seamlessly without any downtime, without any IT intervention, just improving productivity, employee experience, and transforming the IT experience as well. In addition to the release cycles, we've introduced 3 additional channels called dev, beta, and the stable that we recommend to use, which is largely your early testing cycles. We recommend a certain percentage of IT users to be on the beta or the dev to ensure that we are up to speed with what is coming in the next release, even before it's being announced or it's being made available. In addition to being in addition to being secure, it also gives you a very good ROI and TCO. And we work with ESG to give an economic validation of the value of using Chromebooks. And that's largely across 3 key pillars. The first is reducing acquisition costs. The overall cost of the hardware and the software which you procure or need to employ with Chrome devices reduces significantly. The second key element is operational costs, be it support, maintenance, administration, or even power consumption at a device level is much lower and much lighter. And the third key element of cost is largely to do with improved business uptime and productivity, where the users, as per a report from Forrester, get about 30 minutes back per week with the level of productivity, with the level of improved uptime of the device itself. Chromebooks actually can replace your traditional devices, be it Windows or MacBooks or any of the devices, and can be used in various scenarios. For example, kiosks, frontline workers, cloud workers or information workers or task workers, all of them can use Chromebooks with the right set of applications across SaaS applications, business applications, and line of business applications as well. The annual savings per device, as per ESG, is close to about $480, which is broken down by each of the effort and activity that we break into the device, be it acquisition costs, be it operational costs, or improved user uptime cost, which the employee gets back into the enterprise as well. And this is just to give you a perspective of how ESG actually built out this based on quantifying the value of Chromebooks with our real customers who have been using this as well. Google is an enterprise too, and at Google we have seen significant cost savings around this as well. And this is just to give a perspective of what we saw in one of our internal reports. In order to provision a device, and this is just about provisioning between a Windows, a Mac, and a Chrome, and Google gives the choice to employees to choose the kind of device they want to use. The overall time it takes to provision a Chromebook is 20% of the total time it takes to provision a Windows or a Mac device, which is close to half an hour as compared to 2.5 hours on a Windows or a Mac. From a support perspective, and I know the numbers are a bit smaller, but from a support perspective, on an average of 1,000 devices, the number of IT tickets or support requests received by IT was 20% as compared to what they would see on a traditional Windows or a Mac. On a Windows, close to 100 tickets. On Chrome OS, close to 20 tickets. And that itself is a testament of how you can give back productive time, how you can improve your employee experience, which in turn turns into cost savings for you as well. The devices can be managed extensively using the Chrome Enterprise license. We have 200 plus user and device policies. There are flexible options to manage the device using the EMM and the UEMs available today. And with flexible identity options, you can use the device with Google Identity, with Google Cloud Identity, or even with Active Directory. And you can manage the device using Citrix Workspace as well. We've introduced what we call as the Grab and Go Loaner program. This is a program which is largely around transformation using loaner Chromebooks. It's like a rack of 20 devices, a borderless, IT-free kind of an environment where user comes in, steps in, picks up a device, uses the device for as long as he wants to, and once he's done using the device, he puts the device back into the shelf and continues. The device is back to its regular posture from a security perspective, from a configuration perspective. The IT need not re-provision the device based on the user again and again. And we provide 24/7 support as well. Now I'll talk a little more about how we work closely with Citrix. I think Aaron covered that in a very broad spectrum and a lot of details. I'll just maybe repeat a couple of those points. I mentioned the concept of turning our technology inside out. How do you do transformation? And when you partner with Google Cloud, this is what you get. You get, first and foremost, is GCP, the Google Cloud Platform. This is our next generation hyperscale public cloud platform, which can provide you infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, virtual containers, Kubernetes, and various advanced options like IoT, ML, TensorFlow. I mean, various things are available. It's a humongous platform that we have available, and we have a large set of customers who are adopting this platform today. The second is G Suite, which is your productivity tool, all the way from emailing solution to collaboration to document editing to storage, all bundled in one single pack called G Suite. And the third is Chrome Enterprise, which is devices, Chromebooks, the Chrome operating system from an endpoint perspective. And all of this seamlessly integrates with our other integrated applications, be it Apigee or Google Play, to have a managed Google Play experience, or Firebase, or even having tools like Cloud Search, which can be used for enterprise search, using the power of Google Search for enterprise as well. Delving a bit deeper into the various integrations that we've built with Citrix, the slide gives you an overview of the 3 key integration points that we've done with Citrix. The first is Citrix Workspace on the Google Cloud Platform. This is deploying your Citrix environment on GCP and doing transformation from your on-prem to your on-the-cloud infrastructure as well. The second key piece is accessing Citrix Workspace on Chrome Enterprise or on the Chromebook, being able to get access to Citrix Workspace on the Chrome devices. And the third key integration is around Citrix Workspace to access G Suite, my collaboration and productivity tools as well. And we'll focus briefly on all these 3 in my subsequent slides. This is like the solution architecture or the solution approach that we've driven here for showcasing Citrix and GCP. GCP, on the right, the Google Cloud Platform, is where you can host your existing Citrix environment, or even to move your Citrix environment to the cloud, you can use GCP, where you can have Citrix Cloud connectors, connect to Active Directory, server VDAs, your infrastructure on the GCP. In the middle, as you can see, Citrix Workspace integrates with G Suite, and that also integrates with Citrix ShareFile and Citrix Access Control to provide SSO across the range of applications for the enterprise. And on the right, you will see the Chrome OS, or rather on the left, my right, your left. You see the Chrome OS, where Chrome OS is a crowd-friendly, next-gen operating system for devices across of various different range of form factors, be it a Chromebook, be it Chromebits, Chromeboxes, or even AIO form factors like the Chromebase. All of this being managed seamlessly using Citrix Workspace for the Chrome devices, and the Citrix Workspace on the Chromebook via the Android application or the Chrome application to access your workplace or the workspace that you've defined, which has your applications, be it Android, be it SaaS applications, or even be it your line of business applications. At the highest level, you get performance, flexibility, security, and productivity with this. Just to highlight, we have our own data center. We have our own Google Cloud Platform environment right here in Singapore. We've recently announced the availability of the next-gen cloud platform also in Jakarta. And today, when you're using your line of business application, when you're using your on-premise applications, be it SAP, be it Oracle, you can actually access them on Citrix Workspace. We work with our partners like Megaport or Equinix to be able to provide you that interconnect from your on-prem infrastructure to GCP across the globe and give you the right level of security and availability with our partners as well. So you can actually leverage our partner ecosystem to connect between your existing on-prem infrastructure with GCP across the globe. So all of this is provided with 3 key tenets in mind: productivity, where users can stay productive and seamless across your virtualized environments, across all the kind of applications that they use. IT can deploy applications securely without having to worry about where the user is accessing it and how he is accessing it. And from an IT perspective, the flexibility is enhanced in terms of just being able to deploy it. But from an end user perspective, the choice of device, the choice of platform is also flexible because now you don't have to worry about which devices are being used where. The Citrix Workspace for Chrome, there are 2 key elements to this. We have both the Chrome version as well as Android application. It delivers the end user experience on the device. It provides instant access to the workspace environment. You can sign in once to get universal access. You can keep onboarding devices, and all of this is centrally managed and configurable by just provisioning it once, fill it, shut it, forget it. That's how the IT provisions are today. You can gain device flexibility with the range of devices that are available today. And all the apps that are provisioned and files that are provisioned and configuration is all central in nature. It is all managed centrally from the same endpoint. It protects against web and security as well. A couple of our customers, I'll just give an example of Middlesex Hospital. They are a customer based out of the US. In fact, they actually mentioned to us that the IT can set up a Chromebook with Citrix in less than 10 minutes, which used to be hours for rugged devices. They initially started using Chromebooks with Citrix for their nurses and field workers, and they eventually moved to even accessing G Suite. And today, they're saving cost by about 80% by just moving from rugged traditional devices to Chromebooks. They can buy 5 Chromebooks at the cost of 1 rugged device that they used to buy earlier. And this has just helped them improve better collaboration across the employees and better productivity as well. They have seen massive cost saving in software licensing alone and hardware as well, and also provide support for legacy browser, legacy applications via virtualization on the device. The other customer, Woolworth, it's an Australian company. They account for about 80% of the Australian market from a retail standpoint. They're a grocery chain, and they have more than 10,000 workers who've been mobilized using Chromebooks. They have replaced their existing operating system with Chrome devices, and they've adopted Chrome for nearly 85% of their business, which has, again, helped them transition into a more collaborative and a secure environment as well. We have a range of customers who have been growing with Citrix and with Chrome and Google overall across different verticals. One of the leading airlines organizations, they're a leading airline company across the region here in Southeast Asia. They're a huge customer of ours who actually have deployed Citrix with Chrome with various solutions from Google, the whole stack as we saw it. With Citrix and Chrome, we can deliver superior user experience to the end users and give freedom of choice both for IT and for end users as well, and enhance their end user productivity. As next steps, what I would guide is you can contact us on this email address if you would like to explore piloting your Citrix environments on GCP. or even running with us to understand and do an assessment of your existing infrastructure to see what we can port onto GCP as well. So feel free to reach out to us on this email address. You can sign up to start a Chrome Enterprise trial, where we can allocate licenses and help you with devices as well. We've also listed 2 additional assets where you can look at the overall TCO for Chrome Enterprise and Google Cloud, and also look at how you can enhance the experience of your frontline workers with Chromebooks as well. Citrix and Google can help you deliver solutions which provide superior user experience and enhance security, and also freedom of choice. And that's where we are at today. Any questions? We are right around here. Feel free to come back to us. Thank you.
Thank you, Vivek. We will now have a short 20 minutes break. Do take this opportunity to visit our sponsors at the Solutions Showcase area and scan your badge or drop off your business card for the lucky draw prize. The next session will commence at 2:50 p.m. at each breakout session room. Kindly proceed to Residence 1 for Experience Track, Residence 2 for Security Track,